Hello, so in this video I'm going to show you what it looks like when you're presenting a Pear Deck as kind of the teacher, and then I'm also going to try and show the student view as well. And so in order, once you've kind of set up, and this is one I did the other day, a Pear Deck presentation. If you want to start your presentation, you again go to that little Pear Deck tab at the top. If you don't see it, again go to the add-ons and then you can open up Pear Deck from there because you'll have to have that add-on installed. And I'm going to put my windows side by side. And so the teacher view will be on the left, and then I'm going to do the student view. Oh, it was going to do it for me. The student view on the right. And I'll move my camera to the bottom there. So as a teacher, I'm going to start my lesson. It might have you to log in with Google and stuff. This is where you're going to pick which lesson mode you're going to do. I would guess for the most part you're going to be doing the teacher pace or instructor pace, but it depends on how I guess you're using Pear Deck. Yep, it's going to have me log in with my Google account, and it will, I think this is something you turn off, but for the most part, I prefer it. It'll force students to log in with their Google accounts in order to, as part of the login process, and that helps you in terms of figuring out who said what in your presentation. So it's going to load a little bit as a teacher. Now you'll get kind of another tab popped up here. So this is what you would want to be projecting to students. So it'll give them the website to go to and then the join code. And that's what, as a student, when I go to joinpd.com, I'll type in that code. There's also some ways you can quickly put it on Google Classroom and give that link. But then they have this teacher dashboard. That's what this other window is. And so this is kind of nice if you have a second screen that you can kind of pull this up and you can kind of run what's going on in the Pear Deck that is being shown on, say, Google Meet or your TV, and then you can kind of control what's happening on maybe another screen or another device. So like for me, I like to have the teacher dashboard pulled up on my iPad, but it just kind of depends again on how you want to use it. So I'm actually going to minimize this just for the sake of actually I can do it on my other screen because I have two monitors here. All right, so I'm going to pretend to be the student. I'm going to type in that code, and they always make this kind of funny little acronym down below, which can help sometimes if they're trying to figure out as an I or an L. So GOLNP, green olives, lift new pears. And then when the students log in, it should ask for their Google code. I might just keep mine because I'm logged into Chrome. It'll ask how they're feeling always. I always find that kind of nice little an SEL kind of thing. And then it'll get it pulled up. Something that I found since I've done Pear Deck now for about 2 years, it's nice to put I always put an image of my family, but it's nice to put some sort of hero image or something that is going to be really recognizable and unique to that lesson on your first slide, because then as you're walking around making sure everyone's logged in class, you can just look for that picture. Or I usually tell them, if I know, let's say this is my niece Lucy, I would say, when you're logged in correctly, you should see a picture of my niece Lucy. You don't have to do, obviously, pictures of your family members, but something that's kind of unique that you know to look for is a little bit easier sometimes. So now that I have my student in, it'll tell me how many are connected. We're going to start. And so as the teacher, this would be what you're projecting again, and that's what the students are going to see. And then I'm going to actually show you, this is what if you have the teacher dashboard up, this is what you'll see. So you can actually add prompts on the fly. You can end the presentation now, and you can go to the next slide. And then they have some other options here as well. Oh, also for teachers, especially if students are late, the join code will always stay in the top right of your screen as the teacher. And if you want to make that big again, you sure can. Okay, so now let's practice a question. So if I go to the next slide here, this is what I'm projecting to the students on my screen. So on the ClearTouch, the TV, the projector, I'm broadcasting to my kids on Google Meet. And this is what it looks like to the students. So they can read that slide right here. And then they have the option, because I made this a multiple choice, they can then pick if they think, in this case, if it's a real or fake headline. And then as the teacher, when you have the teacher dashboard pulled up somewhere, you can also see how they're voting in real time. And I can also, if I had more people, it'll tell me how many have responded. So I have 1 out of 1 responses, but it would show below who hasn't responded, which is a nice way to hold students accountable. And then as the teacher too, on the teacher dashboard, I can show responses. So I can then show this screen to everybody. And that way kids can see how everyone voted in the class, and I can hide those as well. This is what a short answer question would look like. So again, they can see my slide that has the question on it, their prompt, so to speak. This is what I'm presenting to students. Let me go back. Whoops. This is what students are seeing at home on their like Google Meet or on the big screen up top. And then this is where, like as a student, I can see that slide and then I would respond. Now, students I found, they always ask if there's a submit button, and there isn't a submit button. You just stop typing in Pear Deck. But when I'm typing, I can say hello, whatever my answer is for this question. And on the teacher, I'm going to show that teacher dashboard again. So this is what it looks like for the teacher. So I would be able to see all the responses on this screen. And I usually find it's easier to go to the grid layout, especially when you have bigger classes. And then what's really cool, so let's say I wanted to highlight some of the responses. This is one of the paid features that we now have, is you could star that answer, and then when you would show the response, it's only going to show the responses that you starred rather than the entire class. So that way, sometimes you can kind of filter out some students that maybe wrote IDK or they just didn't respond. You could star certain responses and then show those to your class. You could also give them feedback here, which is a new feature, kind of cool. And then you could also hide it as well. If you were to be showing responses, you could hide that response if it wasn't the best. And again, these are tied to their Google account, so you have their name right there. And you would see at the bottom, if there were more people logged into this session, which students have not responded yet. And you'll actually be able to see, maybe I can show it to you, them like adding, let me move this over. You can see them typing in real time too, which is kind of cool. So you can see as I'm typing, it'll have the 3 dots just like it does like on your cell phone, and then the text will appear. But students, as I said earlier, they don't have a submit button. They just stop typing, and you as a teacher just have to let them know that you can see that. Okay, so that's kind of what some of the question types look like. I really only use a lot of the multiple choice and then the short answer because those were the free ones. I haven't really done much with the paid question types, such as the drawing or the draggable, so I don't really know 100% of what those look like. But then when you're done with the session, you can either go to the presenting screen and hit end, or if you have, like I said, that teacher dashboard pulled up on a second screen, or maybe you have another computer or an iPad or something, you would just hit end. You're going to want to name that session. So you're going to want to name the class that you were just working with. Then you can save and exit. If you hit publish student takeaways, I think it's a way it'll email the students their responses, so something to note. And that's basically what the teacher end looks like. They have more feedback they can give you. But that's what it looks like for both the student view and the teacher view. And then the last video is how you're going to be able to look at those responses after you've done your presentation.